Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Saiyan, Arwin, John and Ranty. How are you all doing?
All doing good.
All is well.
Good evening.
Nathan, I've had a request from George Heitnuch. He's got a troll account in the same name as him, and he's just generally been horrible to him and about him. And he's asked, how do I get in touch with Nathan to get the troll account blocked?
Yeah, someone asked me. I've got no real issue with getting rid of...
Consider yourself asked, sir.
Presumably, it's Netanyahu. George Netanyahu's got a troll in now. Presumably, he's got no subs. If I look for him, I'll find him, right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. No problem, George. I'm on it. So, did you have anything you wanted to present, Anthony, just before I stick the link out?
I did, but I'm not prepared for it.
No
I just got back in.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm just wondering.
Do your homework, Riley.
I'm just wondering whether or not I can actually be bothered. Do you think I should do it, Nathan, or do you think it's just one that we should just let slide? Because
what's it to do with
that Burke? Not Al-K. Al-K's a Burke, but not that. Not Al-K being the Burke. The Burke that's done a video that had really good analysis on it, but then came to the most perverse, bizarre, crazy, dumbass, retarded interpretation of the evidence ever in the history of balliness. And it's like, I mean, I'll be honest, Al-K did the Elsa Craig mountain observation, and it's one of the best flat earth proofs out there. And regardless of the interpretation of the evidence, that guy No Simon Dan did a quote debunk of Ranty's analysis. And what he basically did was he squashed up the mountain and declared that it was only the tippy tops of it that we were seeing, and therefore Ranty was wrong. Ranty then responded and said, no, actually, this is what we're seeing, and I agree with Ranty's work. Well, this guy's done a response to it, and he's basically done what can only really be described as a fantastic overlay, but he comes to the most perverse, bizarre interpretations of the overlay in the history of ball earthness. I think what I'll do is I'll give it 10 minutes and then I'll come back to it in a sec because I've only just got in. I need to go make a brew.
Well, if you like, I've got a little presentation that I can put together for that. If you want, I've actually been working on it today. I mean,
the only thing I really want to focus on is the interpretation bit where he basically says that he says words to the effect of, oh, what's that guy's name? No Simon Dan. He uses the phrase confirmed, and basically if it was curvature of the Earth that was being caused by the blockage that we see, then it has to be at the top of the mountain. So if you drill that point home on my behalf, I will be eternally grateful, Ranty.
All right, give me 2 minutes, and I'll get it up ready.
Boom.
We're just waiting for you in the meantime. Can we chat amongst ourselves while you prepare this, Ranty, for the next 20 minutes? I just don't want 20 minutes of silence if it's going to take that long.
No, I could talk about something.
There you go, Ranty.
I was just kind of interested to get into the questions again. the
voice has gone all funny,
questions
Ranty.
that
What's going on?
flat earthers are afraid to answer. Because yeah, John gave a pretty silly answer, which is legitimate because it is silly. But I would kind of like to improvise and give answers to these questions in relation to my interpretation of the heavenly bodies, because I could do that on the fly.
Are you turning to the dark side, Arwen?
No. I could simply just answer the questions a little bit more seriously. And in answering the questions, point out the fallacies of, well, the heavenly body, physicality, and location assumptions, and all of that. So, but whatever you guys like.
I'm guessing that you're ready, Ranty.
Almost.
Almost.
I know I'm
Okay.
presenting, but I'm
No,
kind of.
It's all right.
I just need to double check something.
I won't put you up just yet.
Let me just double check something. I was working on it this morning with a hangover, so
I was on the phone with you, so it was good fun listening to you slurring your words out, going, God, I had a great night last night. What's this angular size reduction you need me to apply? Oh, this sounds like a headache.
I was like, oh no, that can't be right. Don't give me that headache to do now. Not this time in the morning. I was still drunk. I must have had about 15 pints last night. It was ridiculous. But,
wow,
I suppose it gets messy when there's a few of you out. Right, just bear with me.
No rush at all.
Right, okay, so that's the... Right, got it. Perfect, right, okay, so, yeah, ready to go.
Okay, so this is your alk/Simandan/Ranty back and forth double debunking. Go ahead.
That's it. Well, you know that we tried to encourage the ballers to interact with us on this particular observation that we did. We knew that we had the top of the mountain completely nailed down with these particular features of the observations. By the way, sorry, this bottom image is from the high elevation, so he's looking down and he's seeing the entirety of the mountain, this Ailsa Craig. This is an observation from 30.9 miles, and the elevation was 3 feet. So essentially, he was pretty much down at the floor when he was trying to look over 31 miles to look at this rock or this mountain in the water. So this is the points that we can say, okay, these match up. So this matches up at the top. This little noggin matches up there. This ledge matches up there. Now, Simandan, this Icon Science that I think it was who did the video, and obviously myself, you, whoever, all agree that this is correct, right? So we're seeing the same features on this particular rock from both observations. We also are all in agreement that this, apart from Simandan, I don't think he is. Well, he wouldn't be because he knows the ramifications of agreeing that this right-hand edge is indeed this right-hand edge of the rock. Now, Icon Science that has agreed that this right-hand side of the rock, with his doing his overlay, he's got some software that he was able to overlay everything, and he was able to match it up very accurately. This matches in exactly where you'd expect to see it on here. This left-hand part, we left the Easter egg out there because we said that this ledge was this ledge. We knew it was that ledge, but we just wanted the ballers to come in and try and debate us. They didn't fall for it. However, Icon Science that did. And with LK actually agreeing and mirroring his video and his analysis, which is essentially a win for us because that's what we wanted them to do. We wanted them to actually agree that this ledge was this ledge and that this corner piece was this corner piece. Because as soon as they do that and they mirror the videos and they put the stamp of approval on it, They're essentially agreeing that their model is broken, and I'll show you for why. I'm just going through a few of these images. So this is from the higher elevation. I've put a red line in on the bottom so that you can see where the cutoff point is. So everything above this red line is all agreed by the parties involved who've been analysing this rock. So anything under the red line, we aren't actually seeing. However, and this is a contentious however, because we can say that they have to disprove otherwise, this ledge on the right is unaccounted for, although there is a ledge here on the left. It doesn't match up. However, because we're talking about the compression that we see at the horizon, it could be, and probably is, the compression issues happening at this point on the corner, right? So we know that from the full mountain part, we're seeing everything up till this red line. So now we just need to figure out what's the curve calcs and essentially what's missing and what's there, right? So I've put a line in to prove that everything's matched up, the same heights, everything. I've then put the height of the mountain in, I think it's 1,109 feet. So I've put a ruler in, 1,109 feet, dropped it down to the horizon. We're seeing down to this black line. This black line, I've put a bit of black in just so that you can see it much easier. That says that 200 feet is missing, right? So we're all agreeing that we can see up to and including 900 feet of this mountain. 200 feet of it is missing. However, like I said, if I go back a couple of frames and show you this particular right-hand part of the mountain, it's unexplained in this unless you include compression of the image. So when we do the curve calcs on this, now we're all in agreement that this is what we're seeing. We're all agreeing that this is the ledge, this is the side. We're missing 200 feet, right? So you have to ask yourself, this is the curve calcs. If you live on a ball, right? You live on a ball, and we are looking at 30.9 miles with a view height of 3 feet. The hidden is 552 feet. The refracted hidden using Mick West's refraction bull, we can say, just bull, is 467 feet, right? So we have 552 or 467. We don't like using refraction here. We'll just go straight for, we could just go straight for the drop. That would probably be easier, but we'll use the hidden for this argument's sake. 552 feet of hidden, right? So 552, where does that put us on 552? Well, 552 puts us here, and I'll show you in the next image exactly where that puts us. 552 feet is the red line in the middle here. 467 feet is with refraction, and yet we're all in agreement, all of us in agreement, that we can see this side of the mountain and we can see this side of the mountain, and we're seeing down to at least 200 feet. Everything else is there. So either this entire mountain has been loomed up beyond the curve in proportion, physically loomed up to your view so that you see it in absolute perfect pristine condition just like this, or it's flat. It's as simple as that. There is no other explanation. We can say that this is compression on this corner at the bottom here of the image. We can say that because we actually evidence it in the previous images here. This is evidenced in this little lip here, and that is consistent with this little lip here from a higher elevation. We're not even taking that into account. But what we are saying is that for absolute certain, we can nail it down to less than 200 feet. And we can account for that by A, compression, B, optics, C, angular size reduction, anything you want to throw else at it, but it certainly isn't consistent with the ball, unless you believe in super non-standard refraction, hyena.
Ranty, can you get to the part in that guy's video where he shows the overlay by non-Simon Dan?
I'd have to look that up. All I know is that he is in agreement that we're seeing this side here and we're seeing this side here. And Alkay has released that video and mirrored it on his own channel. He's the author of this evidence. He took the photography. So with his stamp of approval and agreeing that this I Can Science That guy has done an excellent analysis of it, we now have the ballers' full support behind this, showing that we are seeing down to at least 200 feet, which absolutely smashes the ball out of the water, because we should be seeing 552 hidden, refracted 467, unless we believe in super non-standard refraction hyena.
The thing that pissed me off, and I'll be honest, is that he didn't declare what you just said there is accurate, right? He didn't declare non-Simon Dan's analysis as void, invalid. He actually supported it and said, what did he say? Confirmed. And I'm like, what do you mean confirmed? And then he diluted it by saying, well, all I was saying was that there was obstruction at the bottom. Yeah, okay, so let's just go with that. The obstruction at the bottom is not where it's supposed to be. If we live on a ball, it should be right at the top, where Simon Dan put his overlay that didn't match. Simon Dan's overlay matched like the description of a perpetrator being described as white, and then the next cop on the scene locks a black man up. That's how stupid it was. Yet he confirmed that Simon Dan's observation was accurate by saying confirmed. No, Simon Dan was debunked the minute you put your analysis over it, and you should have declared Simon Dan debunked, but you didn't. You said that it was confirmed by a straw man argument that Simon Dan did not bring up. You made it up for him and then supported his position when you should have contrasted it and said, no, Simon Dan is wrong. So where's the correction video for that, please?
Right, well, firstly, this guy's done our work for us.
Correct.
We wanted the ballers to come in and acknowledge that this part of the mountain was visible, right? We tried to do it by deliberately saying that this part of the hill here was this part of the hill here, and it wasn't. It didn't work, but we did get it in the end. We got somebody to make a video, and we got Alkay to mirror it, and we got all the trolls in Alkay's channel agreeing that it was an excellent observation and analysis of this apparent curve of the Earth. What they haven't realized is in agreeing to this, in agreeing that this side of the mountain is visible and these mountains and this part of the mountain is visible in the 30.9 mile observation, they've actually confirmed that it's completely at odds with the curve calculator. Completely at odds. It's not even a small at odds. We're talking over 350 feet of missing curvature. We'll write off the bottom 200 feet. We'll write that off, and we'll say that there is no compression, even though it's clearly in the evidence that there is compression. We'll just write it off, and we'll say, if that's the case, then right, we know we're all agreeing that we're seeing down to 200 feet, but the curve calcs say 552. So you are 352 feet of missing curvature. Where is it? So do you believe that there's 352 feet of missing curvature, or do you know that every time you look over bodies of water, you see distortion due to the conditions of the water and the evaporation and all that kind of stuff that's going on, and also the air's denser at sea level? So we're looking through all of that over 30.9 miles. You're going to get obstruction at the bottom, but it isn't curvature. Curvature would take it here to this point where my cursor is, and we're not seeing that. So thanks again, Alkay, Simon Dan, I Can Science That. We appreciate you helping the flat Earth like this, because it's excellent observation, and I told you from day one it was the most excellent ball Earth evidence of a flat Earth I'd seen this year.
And I agree.
Sticking by that.
So the guy that's done the this supposed debunk video, his name was I Can Science That. Obviously, he couldn't science that, because the only interpretation of what's his name, No Simon Dan, is that he was debunked by your own interpretation of the analysis you did. Your analysis was fine, but you didn't denounce No Simon Dan, and that made you know I can't science that. So look forward to the correction video.
Well, with the sign of approval from Alkay, because he mirrored the video, I suppose because he's the author of this image, he's helping, like I say, to prove the flat Earth, and this is what we've been working on today. Again, it's another piece of evidence that we put together today. Happy to show it. Happy to show the flat Earth in all its glory, because this isn't curvature. Curvature, you would not see this part of the mountain. All these features, you wouldn't see this side. You just would not see it. So either the model's broken, or you believe in super non-standard refraction looming hyena.
Basically, if it was the curvature of the Earth, the line in the top red box, just put the bottom line, you know that top red box, the bottom part of it, that's where the actual, that's where the curvature argument would take place.
No, it's not, because this is from the 30.9 mile observation, not the 39 mile one.
Oh, right. Well, on the other picture where he takes it from the beach, that's where it would be the top tippy tops of it. That's it. Yeah. Anything below that, you're proving flat Earth in some way. And the further below that you go, the more it proves flat Earth. And the less it proves anything to do with this funny bendy like ball Earth nonsense.
Riley.
Yes?
It's silly. All observations prove flat Earth.
Yeah, and what about that perspective point? I saw Jaren's got onto that now. Jaren and Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, they've realised that it's the summit in it too. Iron Realm have realised. I mean, we need to keep beating the drum about this one. Why is it that you guys are not accounting for perspective when you apply the hidden value against an object? For all those evidences that we've all
hey, Buttermilk,
been looking at.
can you hear us? Buttermilk? Hello?
Speak up. Okay.
Are you all still here?
Yeah.
I'll say something. If you join the panel, just say hello. How are you doing? It's just general courtesy. Anyway.
Yeah, be quick about it.
Yeah, right. Be quick about it. That's my point. Yeah, brilliant, Ranty. That was another fine demonstration.
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
One thing I will add for Science is Ace, the commenter, and I can science that. This isn't science. Just to add that minor point.
That's lies. Lies.
Yeah, measuring observations isn't science. Just got to throw that out there.
It's just analysis. But
Yeah,
you can still make
mathematics.
logical deductions from these analyses. So
Observation and mathematics. It's not science. Just people
How does that even
mislabel it
work?
and misrepresent it all the time, and I just don't want us to fall into the same trap. That's all.
that's true. Yep. As flat earthers, our greatest risk is to start building our own scientism belief. And yeah, the more we grab onto a specific model without actually having all the knowledge that is needed to get that model done, then we risk building our own scientism system, our own model, just as fake as the globe.
Yeah, exactly. So John did a good job on the show before this one. So 280, top 10 globe killers. And in answer to, I forget the name of the YouTuber now, but the guy who's looking at doing a poll to poll, but he basically was saying, here's my just so story. What's your just so? Hey P Maz, is that the real you? No, definitely not. Oh no, it is. No. Hey P. So John just made up a just so story, just a farcical, a joke, as a backup, as a pummeling. So you go.
I kind of like the
just
concept of the heavenly gnomes.
That's it. Three-toed gnomes. I was trying to remember while I was stuttering away.
Heavenly gnomes. I kind of liked it.
But you don't need
cool.
it. You don't need a just so story. And the same goes for models. You don't have to present a model. When people say, "Oh, you don't even have a model," well, models are pseudoscience. They don't prove anything. It's just not.
But just so
necessary.
stories do make things a little bit more memorable, though.
Yeah, fables are wonderful. Everyone loves a bedtime story.
That's why fairy tales work so well. That's why people remember fairy tales if they're very well designed, because they're memorable.
But it doesn't mean you have to believe in them. You don't have to believe in the Tooth Fairy. You don't have to believe in Santa. You don't have to believe in Globe Earth. It's just a fairy tale.
Indeed.
Yeah, but the point of that little diatribe was that you don't have to invent your own fairy tale when someone challenges you, and models are fairy tales in that regard. They don't prove the shape of the Earth. Having a model especially when it's not actually of the Earth and it's usually of the stars. And being able to predict patterns and then mathematically formulate into your own model what they do, that's not a model, that's not making predictions, that's for damn sure. Certainly not scientific predictions.
The heliocentric model is a beautiful fairy tale, though, so I can kind of understand why
it is
one of
it is an ancient and amazing concept. It is an
Oh, are we losing the panel? Oh, it looks like it.
I'm still here.
I'll share with you guys on Skype the new link, but in the meantime there's going to be a slight gap while I start a new hangout. My apologies to the audience. I didn't notice a sniper get through, but clearly there was. Where's Issa when you need him? I say this every time. Welcome to the show. Okay, for all the guys who were just in the hangout, there will be a link in Skype momentarily. Page looking good before I do. The steps we go to just to keep the public link. That said, if it wasn't for you guys joining from the public, literally every single person who's ever joined the show originally joined from that public link. Glad that I'll go through all these hoops just to get that working. Where's my video gone? Alright, see if I can get some of my guests back. Ranty. If you're listening, P Miles, I'll get the link to you in Skype as well. Hey Ranty.
Howdy.
John, let's get John a link as well. So we'll have about 5 minutes, Ranty, without the link being public.
Sure, no worries.
How long do you reckon that was before the show was up and running again with...
I'm not sure if it was the fake females that came in and did it. I'm not sure if it was the fake females that came in and did it.
Mute your watch page. Damn you. Hey, Anthony.
Feedback there before.
Okay, members of Atom Bomb Chat, you've got a link to, and Master B. Let's stick
Sorry about that. I moved my toe and my dog decided to attack.
Ah, I see.
He's a little bit fragile in his old age.
Okay, so check your Skype, people, if you want to rejoin.
Yo. By the way, Mark Taylor has been doing a coming out in the chat.
Let's not shout Mark Taylor out.
No, yeah. It's kind of weird.
It's me.
It's like,
hey, John.
He's like talking about that he's actually bisexual and everything's kind of weird.
Oh, no one cares.
That is true.
Let's
he
not.
did say he was experimenting with new medication, so.
Well, let's not talk about him. I'd rather talk about what was the topic you were talking about? Awake Souls. We could talk about him instead if you like.
Oh God, you want to that?
That's awesome.
Copy paste troll. Oh my God, the guy doesn't even type sentences. He just copy paste crap.
Share my screen, Nathan.
The other trolls are at least actually typing stuff.
You're up, Branty.
Right, this is a screenshot. Well, not a screenshot. It's part of a broadcast that I did, and I've not published it yet. But it's to Awake Souls. He published this video on the 7th of June, 2018, calling everybody as false evidence and creators of false this, that, and the other. On this date, when I took the video, which was probably a couple of days ago, it had 3,606 views. Right, this is Awake Souls. Right. So let's have a look at now what his channel is. This is Awake Souls. I've just typed it in now. I've gone to the same video, and it now has 2,931. So he's lost 700 views. How do you lose 700 views? I also want to point out, bearing in mind, that when he was going on his little balls to the wall attack on you, asking the question over and over again, what he did is he kept going onto his different channels and publishing the same comment in a live stream a couple of days with you, determined to get you to respond to him. So one of those, in fact, a few of those, but one of those for right now was this particular account, We Opened Their Eyes. The comment says, we will be waiting as well to see the other side of this story, but live today, they did not show any of the windmill footage. Awake Souls, please keep up the fight for truth. We out here need honest men. It's their own sock account. He's talking to himself. The guy is I have no words to explain what this guy is. He seems, like Arwen said, to be psychopathic, and I actually feel that is the case. He doesn't shut up.
Yeah, I agree.
But this actual comment here, which was just one of those shill accounts that he came in on, he's talking in the third person to himself. He's literally talking to himself. Satan will be destroyed. They're all his accounts. Shill Destroyer, it's his account.
Yeah.
He's leaving comments on his own videos, and he's now having views removed from his channel, because when I did that off-air live stream that I haven't released yet, it had 3,606 views. Now it only has 2,931. Even YouTube is calling him out on it.
Yeah, I told you, he is a fake flat earther. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a false prophet.
Let me tell you something really funny.
A Satan worshipper pretending to be the right Christian.
Let me tell you.
He's a psychopath. And he's not very original because he just copy pastes crap all over the place.
Are you done?
I'm done. I just wanted to say that. I know Nathan didn't want us to promote him or say his name or mention his channel. However, he's being very active in the chats, and I just feel it needs to be, because he's saying a lot of rubbish basically about fake videos and CGI stuff of the evidence that we've been putting forth. And I want the audience to know that he's utter horse manure and tripe, and I think everybody knows that anyway. But I just wanted to ram it home because even the ballers have defended me. So there you go.
That's incredible.
Can I
just shows how low he actually goes.
He's even getting attacked by the ballers.
I think it is kind of original. It is like an original level of psychosis to actually suggest that you, Ranty, are on purpose faking editing your videos to show curvature and then calling it flat. That's what he's promoting right now. The guy is a total psychotic.
Yeah.
By the official definition.
Can I now? I just want to say something before we move off point. I listened back to the Awake Souls hangout the other day, and one of the things that he said that was fantastic was, right after declaring Ranty that had faked all his own footage or whatever, about 2 minutes later he said, "Nobody's debunked that claim." And I was like, what are you talking about?
Hey, plain
you
truth.
haven't proven that it was faked in the first place, you moron.
You driving? Do I need to turn you up,
Wait to
buddy?
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll turn you up a bit.
Seriously, when somebody is that psychotic, you can't allow yourself to even by neurotic behavior try to take them seriously, because he is a lunatic.
In fact, I'm actually going to state it right now so that everybody knows, but I will not be responding to his accusations again. In fact, I highly doubt that I will ever mention his name on this channel again. So this is the limit of free advertising that he's going to get from me, because after this, you're done, pal. You ain't going to get any word out of me from now on.
Just block him. That's all I've done.
He was done when he came on the scene and started to do these stupid accusations, baseless accusations. Seriously, yeah. I'd rather do an interview with Quasi Luminous, because that guy makes more sense than him.
Right, what else are we talking about? Let's find something else to talk about.
We didn't do the housekeeping. We do housekeeping on the show.
Anybody challenging him?
We didn't do any housekeeping. So on the 280 we did, but not this one. So any signs of curvature? Anybody?
Yeah, actually there is. Sly Sparkane reckons that my footage of Isle of Man, the one that I did on my belly on the beach that he asked me to get, he reckons that's curvature. So I've invited him in so he can explain to the world how the evidence that I produced that should be 700 feet behind the curve is actually evidence of curvature. So Sly, you've made a claim that there is curvature in my evidence. I challenge you to come on the show anytime you want. Now would be good, and show the world how it's curved. Absolute moron. Sorry.
No, we're good. Any signs of axial rotation?
Yeah, the stars spin. Stars spinning above our head, therefore axial rotation, right?
Non sequitur conclusion. And other than non sequitur conclusions, is there any actual proof that the Earth beneath us is turning, as opposed to the stars above our head?
No evidence of gravity either. We've got no evidence from the Rumpus, who's about 7 weeks late now on the explanation for why we could see that said land at Isle of Man.
Oh yeah, almost 2 months. That it's a 2-month postponement anniversary coming up.
He knows that he can't manipulate the light as much as what he needs to be able to explain it, so he's hoping that it goes away. So what's the other claim that Rumpus is supposed to be dealing with? There's a second one.
Molten core.
No, that's Paul Voigt.
Yeah, that's Paul Voigt. There was a second one that Rumpus was trying to explain, and I can't remember what that was. See, Nathan, as admin, you need to have this list like on the tip of your tongue.
Oh, right. My bad.
Should be written down somewhere.
I'm sure if he was here, I would remember. You know, I'd just say, well, why is it that every single time you have used the orthographic calculations to demonstrate how the world is, which it is not, have you ignored the secondary function you seem to go through every time you're on the show now? This perspective function that has never been applied ever. So every single one of Rumpus's presentations that he has ever done ever have ignored this secondary function of perspective, which does have to be added to the calculation. Absolutely. We do experience the world in a perspective view. We do not experience the world in an orthographic view. So he would have to first...
And he claims that he actually does that, but when demonstrating it, he never actually does it. So...
No.
So the other thing is as well, M. Scott Veach, the son of the astronaut, the one that Daddy lied to. I heard him on David Weiss's show with Jaren, and he's still maintaining his position that you apply the whole height of this thing. He talks about the line of sight, and all you need to know is whether that ray of light meets the eye or not. Yeah, okay, so we know the amount of obstruction. So what height do we put in for the observation? And he keeps saying it's the local height of the thing that you're looking at. So, for example, the 1,000-foot mountain, you put that 1,000 foot in. So he denies perspective. So at M. Scott Veach, we had 2 hours on Ace's chat about this, and you still couldn't understand it, and you were still pushing your narrative as complete and utter nonsense, but true. So why is it that you're putting the mountain in at 1,000 feet at 30 miles away? It should be 1,000 feet at 30 miles that we're working on, not 1,000 feet. We don't see orthographically. We don't see side perspective. We see it from first person. We see it down the eyeballs. So where's the evidence for putting in a local height when we clearly see perspective? There is none, is there? Oh.
Yeah, well, Jaren very nearly had him on it. Sorry, Ranty. Jaren nearly had him on it because he said, well, you know, what about the bulge? We're talking about something in respect to a bulge. So there's something in the near foreground that also would require perspective. And M. Scott Veitch sort of stuttered and stammered his way around it and said that perspective doesn't apply, but an angular size reduction doesn't apply. It's like, well, they're one and the same thing. The angular size reduction at distance is the effect of perspective. But he said that perspective does apply, but we don't need to apply an angular size reduction calculator to our existing calculations that we perform and compare to actual real-world photography. So, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Obviously, that's not exactly what he said, but you know what I'm getting at. He was saying that you do experience perspective, but it doesn't need to apply. We've got a direct line of sight, and that's how it would work if we were building something. And this is nonsense. Like he doesn't do experience it. It takes it.
Works then.
Sorry?
It sounds like he really doesn't understand how perspective works.
Or he understands how the calculator has been used to hijack perspective and co-opt it and call it curvature. You know, you've got to get that actual curve that doesn't exist from somewhere. And what better place to find it than something that physically forces things to be obscured at the horizon? Well, you can call that the bulge, until someone points out that you've not accounted for perspective.
Next, would it be okay? Could you print, you know, that M. Scott Veitch discussion with David Weiss and Jeren? If you put the link in chat so that everybody can get the link and tell them where to go, I think it was 1 minute 20 onwards. You can hear him continuously use the word obfuscate instead of the word obstruct. So he's talking about the obstruction at the horizon, but he's calling it obfuscate.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, but perspective will never cause anything to obfuscate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Obfuscate. And he means obstruct, but he's got obfuscate in his head that much. He must have been watching Nathan's chat that much that he's just losing sleep over it, because he's continuously using the wrong word out of context over and over again. It's funny.
His vocabulary is getting scrambled.
But really, does it matter?
Oh, it's funny though.
I'm the worst. I get muddled up all the time with the stuff I say. There could be a reel of 100 different shows where I've made complete ridiculous remarks every single time that I've.
Don't be hard on yourself, Ranty. It's not that bad.
We all make errors. But Nathan, I got my 1080p TV. So hopefully I should be able to display the images from Barrow from a foot.
Just remember, you might have to change the aspect ratio on your screen.
Well,
no, don't worry about anything. Just present it as is. Because it does come through here. I can see straight away on my screen that it's clearer, it's sharper, because more pixels are coming through. Because when you share screens, you only get the resolution that you're looking at it in. And that's what comes through. So now Ranty's up to screen resolution, we see it in better quality. So, you know, on screen now, I'm looking at it on the iPad just to monitor it, and it looks sharp, looks better. You know, the P900's a sack of crap in this regard. You know, what it's good at is long distance. It's never going to create beautiful images in this regard. It's not that kind of camera. But, you know, you can see it sharper. You can see this. Wow, it does look sharper. The clock tower looks like, you know, good. That's cool.
Well, yeah, I've been displaying it up to now in 720p, simply because that's the TV that I bought a few weeks ago. I bought it on a whim. I kind of went out and bought my Xbox and everything, and I had a bit of a splash out, and I bought this TV. I didn't realise it was only 720p, but then I thought, well, I'll use that for a while. So now I've got a 1080. So you're all seeing it in the 1080. This is the building that kindly, who was it who told us it was 65 feet? Tim Osman. So he found out that this building here is 65 feet in height. And clearly we're seeing shore to shore. We've seen this before. We've seen this rock. This is an 18-mile observation.
What's the observer height?
Observer height was a foot or under.
Hey,
8 foot or under.
Hey.
So you're all seeing this now, and it's, I mean, you can see the wave was cresting. It was only a couple of inches high, this wave.
Hello.
Hello.
Is that the real Tim?
Hey, it's not 65 feet in height. It's actually 65 feet in elevation as opposed to the sea level, bud.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Okay. Well, if you look at these buildings, where are we? Where are we? Let me find it. Come across. Here we go. So we know that these buildings in the background, all these buildings here should be gone beyond the curve. We're all in agreement with that, aren't we, Timmy?
No, this is actually why I told you to go and replicate this, because there's obviously a lot of atmospheric nonsense going on in this image. So
There is. It's happening here. We got under the refraction zone.
Nonsense.
We got under the refraction zone. This image is clear at the bottom. The only distortion we get is here. So clearly we were under the refraction zone looking up to it, which made
Renty, can you replicate this observation? That's all I asked.
I've been 20 or 30 times since this. I've only ever seen it once, which wasn't quite as clear as this, but almost as good.
Can you show
So
us that,
mine are
Ranty?
8 miles more.
Hold on, you've asked him if he can
distance.
replicate it. He's now saying he has. Let's have a look.
Yeah, where have you replicated? You said you only saw it once.
I've seen it one other time from this observation down to perhaps where my cursor is now.
So where are the other ones? You just not show the ones that look like it's curved, or what?
No. I mean, you know yourself. I mean, I even showed it you. Was it? Let's go to the observations. I showed it you a couple of days ago, so you know for a fact that I showed the observations when they don't look clear too. Where are we?
Nathan, if you could deal with that George account again. There's another dodgy one in chat.
So you know you've seen this image before. I've presented it before specifically for you, which was the clear mirroring of everything and the curve going back on the mountain. We had all this refraction going on. This is a complete mirror of the bottom part. So the refraction zone on this particular day was right where my cursor is. I wasn't able to get underneath that refraction zone. However, what we do see is the water, and we see the top of the buildings, and there's a massive gap between both. And we know that we shouldn't even see the top of the buildings. We know that they are hidden beyond the curve. Every time I go, I should not be able to see these buildings from the observation point that I take.
Shouldn't you be able to see all of it on a flat Earth?
Well, you know you can't see all
Hold
of
on,
it.
we've moved on. So was that the replication? This is the second
No,
time,
no,
right?
no. I'd have
sorry.
to dig it out again, Nathan. I'd have to look through all my observations. But essentially, I've seen it pretty close to what the original one was. This is a day when I went and it wasn't very clear. What you're seeing here is the atmospheric conditions that make it difficult to see through to see what's beyond. This blurring out here is just stopping us see the bottom of the buildings. That's what it does.
You're looking north westish.
North. I'm looking, yes, northwest, yeah.
Okay. I would suggest maybe to do it near sundown when it kind of cools off a bit, possibly. You probably get some better shots.
I go twice a day.
Okay.
So what causes that distortion? Is that heat or?
It's a temperature inversion.
Well, think of it this way. Where do the clouds form? How do clouds form?
Distortion's curvature, right?
Well, clouds form through evaporation, and evaporation are little particles of water that get sucked up into the clouds, and etc., etc. This is essentially what we're looking through. On any day, at any time, the water is being evaporated up. At some point, there will come a point where you can no longer see through the evaporation particles, and they create this mirroring layer.
Oh, here in this photo, you can even see a bit of mirroring inside of the water.
Exactly, which is what I've been saying from day one, that the mimicking of the water, it mimics the water, the air mimics the water underneath it and creates a false horizon.
So it raises the horizon.
It does.
Yeah.
The horizon is just the apparent line between the ground meets the sky. So you don't need to,
It's
create
the
all
slant.
these.
It's the slant.
Oh, the slant.
Yeah.
What a clown.
Don't give me your slant because every time you start to giggle like a girl when I say,
yeah, boy. You're saying that the Earth is flat, and you say that there's this optical slant. You should be a cumulative curve. What a clown, dude.
Yeah. It's an optical slant, and Globers love to interpret it as a curvature.
Yeah, sure thing.
It's only at a fixed position in accordance to the observer. So
cool, prove that.
Straight line of sight from there on,
prove
baby. It's
Straight
there.
line of sight.
Observably there. Change the observer height and the slant changes its apparent
Cool,
position.
prove it. Just assertions and claims.
Well, your footage
like
of the
usual.
Salt Lake, that proved that, because you could
Oh, of
see
course.
as your drone rose up that the apparent slant migrates. So
Shout out to the
you
hyena.
proved
No,
it
it's
for me.
actually
Thank
just
you
a
for that
curve
again.
of the Earth.
Yeah, you actually helped me to prove the optical slant. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, sure thing. Use my video and quantify it in any way you'd like. That's fine.
Tim, did you ever show Ranty where you took your footage from?
Yeah, we had a live on my channel.
And did you ever show him where the hyenas were walking?
What do you mean? Where the hyenas were
Hyenas.
walking?
He specifically asked you where the animal, whatever the animal was walking, because we wanted to know what the land was. Did you ever? I mean, he asked it, and then you never answered it, and I tried to drag it back to that. And
Because I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know. The thing is we can look at Google Earth. We can
there
look
it
at
is.
Google Earth.
Thanks, Arwen.
Go ahead.
Trust
Let
me,
me know when I can
I've seen it.
Okay, so we can look at Google Earth and we can, get an approximation of where that land is. But I've flown my drone out laterally, and it's not 4 miles. It's not 8 miles. I think he was saying it was like 14 miles away or something. It's not that far away. The water has receded since they put in a railroad that screwed up the whole system, the ecosystem there. So it's not that far away.
So, Tim, are you seeing my images now?
lovely images.
Beautiful images. You say
Are
this
these
is
new or what?
no. This is just on a 1080p resolution TV, so you're actually probably seeing it a bit clearer for the first time.
It's pretty flat.
I'm looking for the bulge on the water. Firstly, I'm looking for any sign of bulge. Secondly, then we're looking at this building, which you kindly have just corrected me in saying that its elevation is 65 feet, but as you know, there's a mountain of sand dune that's in front of this, protecting Barrowing Furnace from the oncoming tide. So that's the sand dunes in the front with the rock. There's the building behind it that's elevated to just 65 feet, but we're seeing, I'd say, pretty much.
Look at that clock tower, dude. Look how it's, what is that, a Superior Mirage right there?
I believe it is.
Yep.
What about that bulge?
Wow.
We got underneath the refraction zone, which inverted the image up this way. Normally, we would see the refraction at the bottom because we're higher than the dirty air, so to speak. But essentially, on this particular day, I got underneath that refraction zone, so that it was inverted up.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say, where to even start with that, but cool.
Anybody else?
Yeah, if you
getting
can replicate
feedback?
that where there's not all these miraging effects, that would be excellent.
Well,
What about the bulge? Why can't we talk about where the bulge is? Because we can't see one.
Yeah, the
Yeah, you
x-axis, where is it?
can't see curvature right when it's right in front of your face, so I really don't care to talk to you. You guys are trolling. You're being pedantic on purpose.
What's
This
wrong
is
with
a
that
silly
question?
endeavor that you guys
Timmy,
continue
I'm
to
sorry,
Are you telling
do.
me? Right, listen.
What's
are
your
you
name there,
telling
Joker?
Are you telling me that refraction brought all that up? I don't know what's happened to my screen there.
No, not at all.
Are you still?
So it's just a straight line of sight observation at minimal observer height.
There we go. So are you saying that refraction brought all that back?
No, not at all.
So
Well,
what
never
that's
said that
flat,
once.
isn't it, Tim?
So what happened then? How did this image happen? What
This is
caused
precisely why I asked you kindly to replicate this observation. Now you've said
Answer
you
the
have
question.
several, you've been like
Replicate it.
30 times or whatever, but you couldn't see it. So I don't see any of those images ever. I just see the ones that you guys cherry pick and say that look flat.
What do you
So
mean? You want me to show you the images where I didn't actually capture it in?
also,
all-
Ranty, I would just kindly suggest to you, you have faked the ISS video and now you are baiting quote unquote globers to do stuff. So really, I can hardly even take you guys seriously anymore because you are actually proactively faking stuff.
How about this?
Right.
I show all of my
Is
images.
that
I show
your
all of
best?
my videos.
Is
I
that
don't
your
care
best
what it looks
attempt?
Seems to be so
Really?
inconsistent. Do
That's
you
the
believe
best
in the
you've got?
wobbly Earth?
That's the best
You
you've
believe
got,
the Earth
rather
is
than
a water
actually
balloon?
debunking it. That's the best you've got to just discredit Ranty.
Pear-shaped water balloon.
That's the best
No,
you've
they
got.
discredit themselves by faking evidence, Nathan.
Nobody's faked a
I've
thing.
never faked anything.
faking the ISS
Someone's
in
jumping on
irony,
the Awake
that's
Souls
not
bandwagon.
that's not a foul, right? That's pointing out
Yeah, it
the
is.
irony of you guys faking men in space.
No, what was funny, if you looked at the comments, all flat earthers were like, "Good job, Ranty," and then all the Globers came on and said, "No, that's not true." And then he deleted the video, never made any retraction. It's very dishonest.
I've mentioned it many a time.
Delete the video. What you
Very
The
dishonest.
point
Hold
was,
on, this is a
we
straw
all-
man.
we were-
This is
no, no,
just
Nathan,
some
let
straw
me-
man. You've
No,
been asked.
let
Hold on,
me-
Ranty. Hold on, everybody. Right? We've asked.
No, let me tell.
Hold
the
on,
audience
Ranty. Let me
so
just
that they
point
know
out
what-
that
Go
we're
ahead.
off track.
Talk your
We're
way out of
miles
it,
off
you
track,
weasel.
Ranty. You've taken the bait, right? And we've asked. Oh, he knows what's coming,
Wow.
so he's buggered off.
Bye.
He
Yeah,
knew what
where's
was
the
coming. We've
You
asked
see?
him where the bulge is. He's not interested in telling us why we've got a shore-to-shore observation with no obstruction, and he's already said now, I don't think it's being loomed up. Just replicate it. It's a shame you couldn't dig them out, Ranty, but if you can, just dig out the one where you got it almost as good, but just not quite. Because then you can show what it's been
It
replicated
doesn't,
as.
it
We've
doesn't
seen the
make any
ones with
sense
mirages.
because you ask them, why are we able to see that? And they can never answer that question.
And then they introduced a straw man about something to do with.
ISS. Yeah, total nonsense.
They can never answer any question.
Well,
though.
hang on. Let me address. I don't want to let that kind of drop because I would like actually to address that claim that was just made there.
Oh no! Wait,
No.
wait. First, don't keep it. Keep the continuity. Just if you can dig out your pictures that replicated it,
Okay.
because then it keeps the continuity. Let's keep on track. I know you want to. I know you're chomping at the bit to take his bait.
Ranty, listen to Nathan. He's right. You're being baited.
You're
Yeah,
being
I know.
trolled. You need to be a little bit more confident, man.
But
We
you've-
have
You've
faith
made an
in you.
assertion. You've said you've
You're
gone
a
and
good
replicated
guy.
it. Just
You're
show
not
it.
faking it. You
just
probably
show it.
couldn't even fake it if you wanted to because you're not that technical.
You see Jeremy horrible.
Yeah. So, hey, you're doing great work, man. Don't worry about it.
Right,
They're
okay.
just trolling you.
I've actually found. I think I've quickly found it, so it might even have better than this.
Hey, lazy
Are you
boy.
seeing this?
Can you hear us? Hold on 1 second, Ranty. No, straight on mute. Yeah, got it up. Make it nice and big. Cool. So
So
this
here we
is
have
a
another
different date and
observation
time.
of
Can you
me.
just take us through it so from start to finish?
Well, here we have. What date did I take this on? File information. 22nd of May at 2:30 in the afternoon. There's the point. I don't know if you can see that just outside Cleveland. So the same observation at Anchor Zone. You can see again that I'm pretty much down at the waterline. You can see the same outline of the buildings. You can see the same buildings here. You can see that's where the jagged roofs are. It's not as clear as the other one, but clearly everything that's evidenced in this image is exactly the same as the other image. When I said that I'd had another observation that was as pretty close to, you can actually see on this. You can actually see the sand dune in front of the building.
Sorry, Ranty. Can you just get rid of the file data? It just looks a bit
How do I
messy.
get rid of that? Close that. All right, sorry.
Awake Souls thinks you're a technical genius because he says this is CGI.
Right. Okay. Well,
it's,
And also,
I'm not responding.
it's
to
all
that.
CGI, is like everything.
Yeah, I'm not responding
Pretty
to
good
that.
CGI.
can I just say that the image is better? We see it better than what we did before.
Definitely.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's
Well,
like one of the most advanced rendering programs ever, man.
yeah. I'm
in real time.
I'm faking stuff in 720p. Get that, right? I've only just got a 1080p bloody monitor now. The retard. Anyway, right. So yeah, we're seeing the same sand dune in front of this building. So we're seeing down to that. You can see that that's clearly the obstruction. That's the sand dune. We've seen it in the other image. So on this particular day, I went along same buildings from the same observer height, same location. You can tell how low I am because you can see the waves cresting. So you wanted a similar observation. Well, this is it. Oh,
Yeah,
look at that. Hey, look at this. There's the lighthouse. Whoa, no, just a minute. There's the lighthouse, and there's the chimneys of the lighthouse building. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's the lighthouse. Now, don't bear in mind that you shouldn't see the lighthouse. You should not see it. It should be gone.
SOS.
Right? There's the clock tower, except you can't see it. It's not reflecting the actual clock tower. Maybe a CGI didn't work
Yeah,
on
what
that.
3D program do you use, Ranty,
You've forgotten the
to
clock face in
engineer
your
these
program.
CGI
Where's
images?
the clock face? You've forgotten it.
Jesus.
It's missing the clock face. So
software.
how can I forget that? How could I forget not to
Rendering
put the
issue
clock face on? So
can I just say, he didn't actually want evidence from other days with other conditions. That was an excuse because he didn't want to answer the question of where the bulge is.
Yeah, I know that. But yeah, so he wanted another observation. Well, here it is, shore to shore. There's the sand dune, right? There's the sand dune in front of that building, shore to shore. Again.
SLS, straight line of sight.
Yep. Long distance, straight line of sight at minimal observer height.
And I actually think this is the first time I've used this evidence. I don't think you guys have even seen this before, ever. I don't think I presented it before. It was just...
this is a new one.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as
the
other one, which was... Where are we? Let's get the other one.
It's excellent. It looks excellent.
Ranty, they all look the same. We need to see some of this like variation with the refraction.
No. It does look kind of different, this one.
No, but what I mean is you can't...
No. Wait. Hang on. Wait. There's the building, and there's the sand dune in front of it. Yeah? This is from the 1 foot observation. They hate this image because that kind of craps all over their little ball. So when we go a bit further on and we look through these images, I'm going to show you that sand dune again. So where are we? Here we go. So yeah, there we go. Sand dune again. So this is the building. Same building. Obviously, we've got the refraction going up, so it's cutting off the little roof at the top. It's mirroring underneath. But again, we're seeing the sand dune in front of the building down to the shoreline. So it's a shore-to-shore observation, but not quite. It's literally, I'll see down to about here where my cursor is on this day. But bearing in mind, all these buildings should be gone. You shouldn't see any of these.
Ranty.
It's amazing stuff, Ranty.
Can I just say that all of your photos are
amazing,
basically the same. If refraction's bending the light up from behind the back of the Earth, there should be a various nature to them. We should see a little bit less refraction some days, more refraction other days. Why are yours all the same, Ranty?
No. What you should be seeing is the entire image being displaced, basically.
There's where I do my observations from. This spot.
And not just the band that is being obscured by the apparent slant, because that's what seems to be the variety in his images. There's a variety in the band that is obstructing it, the slant.
Sorry, Aaron, just for continuity, if you can just let Ranty just finish up by telling us exactly where his viewer location and the targets were. Sorry.
So 13.25 miles to the lighthouse. There's the lighthouse. Let's do some curvature calcs on that, shall we? Right. What lighthouse is it? It's Walney, isn't it? Walney Lighthouse. It has a focal height of 69 feet. So that's where the light comes out of the building, 69 feet above sea level. Let's do the curvature calcs for 13.25 miles, which was the distance. Distance in miles, 13.25. Viewer height, 1 foot. Hidden, 96 feet. Sorry, 96 feet. Refracted hidden, 81 feet, right? Bearing in mind, its focal height is only 69, right? And we're seeing all of that lighthouse. That's the first one, right? The second one is 18 miles further. Well, it's 18 miles in total to these buildings here. Where are they? That are actually on the waterline, right? These buildings here, I'll put a line of sight into these. Just to prove that it is actually 18 miles. Because the ballers absolutely hate the fact that I'm seeing flat water, because in their model they cannot have flat water. It has to conform to a curve. We don't want the bulge. We want it in miles, right? 18.1 miles, right? 18.1 miles.
Sorry, can you just zoom out? Can you zoom out? Oh, go back to.
Yeah.
Just zoom out on your location, just because while you were describing it, Armin was talking. Just tell us where you are.
Sorry. So there we are. So there's my 1 foot observation again from outside of Cleveley's, Anchor's home. The distance to that line measure that I just showed you there, properties measurement, 18 miles. I'll just move that so you can see it, 18 miles. And I'll show you the building itself. Let's get that building up. If I go to tall buildings in Barrow-in-Furness, and then we go to the list of the tall buildings, what we find is this building here, the Devonshire Dock Hall. Devonshire Dock Hall is those buildings that I've just showed you. The elevation in height is in feet 167, right? And if I click on the Devonshire Dock Hall, 167, here's an image of it as a Devonshire Dock Hall. It produces these submarines, and you can see it's right on the water, right? 167 feet. So if we do the curve calculator again, and we put 18 miles in that, and we've got the hidden at 187 and refracted hidden 158, right? And yet, when we look at the images, and these are the Devonshire Dock Hall here, these ones, we're seeing all of those buildings. The only obstruction is the seawall that goes around it, which is the sand dunes. I can even show you on Google Earth, I've still got it up, hopefully I will have. I'll show you those jaggedy buildings that are in the foreground. There we go. If I put these buildings here, can you see the reflection of them? Jaggedy, jaggedy, jaggedy. I'm just going to put my little man in it, and you can see them. Put him on here. And you should get an image of, why is it not doing it? It's playing up. Maybe I have to wait for the, why is that not happening then? Google Earth is broken, it's not letting me do it. Anyway, there's the building. Not letting you
into Street View. Oh well. I mean, we could see from the rooftops, we know, you can tell.
You can tell the jaggedy.
Exactly.
They're the rooftops that's in the line of sight. There's the line of sight to the buildings behind, which are the Devonshire Dock Hall. There's the where the submarine was going to be launched from the image that I showed you just now. 167 feet of these buildings in height. All of it should be gone. We shouldn't be seeing any of these.
Yet we do.
And yet we do. I see it every day. I've showed you another observation where we saw it almost as good as, but not quite. And again, shore to shore.
When you're not getting it, you're getting a reflection of itself below itself, and it's effectively floating on sky. But yet those guys would say, oh, well, that's the curve of the Earth obscuring it. The fact that it's sky underneath a floaty bit of land when it's a different set of weather conditions and not as calm, because this is like a mill pond. You can't get an idea of it because it's zoomed in.
Look at this, yeah. This is, I've taken a few steps back, maybe 5 feet or 6 feet further back, and I stood up. So my elevation at this time, on the same day that I captured those images shore to shore, this was the same image that I got. This is the image that I got, a complete reflection. I was now seeing it mirrored up again, but I was seeing it totally distorted. This lighthouse clearly is twice the size that it should be, because the mirror line goes through the middle here. You can clearly see the mirroring effects. But on the next image, it might be, oh no, it's not that one. But this one, yeah, you can clearly see it. If I zoom in, you can clearly see that this building is mirrored up on itself. So this is just from raising my observation height to perhaps, I'd say 6 feet. 6 feet above sea level, as opposed to 1 feet above sea level. Getting under the refraction zone allowed me to see this building without this mirroring effect going on at the top.
You're on fire. Absolutely awesome, Ranty.
Yeah,
does that conclude your presentation for Tim?
It does.
Even though he's not here to actually say.
He ran off and he made a point.
And then left when he got asked about Bulge.
He made a point that was totally ridiculous, because he knows why I did that ISS video. It's the only video that I ever put together because I was testing the skills of the ballers as to whether or not they could spot a fake video. And I'm not being funny. You knew, Nathan. Anthony knew. There's also a couple of guys in chat and message Multi-Tom, for instance. He knows. So all these people were aware before I released the video that it was a faked video, and to see whether or not they would come back and call it out as such, and which they did. Because what flat earther in the right mind anyway is going to release an ISS video proving the validity of a flying craft in orbit. And secondly, I did it the wrong way. I deliberately had it go in the different direction. So it was all there. They spotted it within probably 6 hours. I pulled the video down after about 12 hours. And for some reason, they now seem to think that this is something they can beat me over the head with.
Not at all. It's just a red herring. It's a straw man. It's because he had no explanation for a shore-to-shore observation at 18 miles with absolutely no Earth curve obstruction. So that's why.
I agree.
Well, I just wanted to address that. I just wanted to let people know that was.
To be honest, Ranty, you shouldn't have even addressed it because.
No, I wanted to. Because there's people that have probably joined the debate that didn't know that I put this video out about probably 7 or 8 months ago. We were having a lot of drama with the ballers at that time, and they were claiming a lot of different this, that, and the other. So
it's good to get through all of the evidence again.
Well, yeah. Well, in order to test their capabilities at spotting real evidences against fake, I decided to put a quick video together showing how it could be conceivable to put a video together that's showing the ISS, right? And because who was it that did the observation? Was it Sly Sparkane? Somebody did a video of the transit of the ISS.
Reds
Rhetoric, yeah. So I think I'd just been on his show. I went on his debate, had a very cordial discussion with him, and we were talking about the ISS. And he said, "How come I can see the ISS and I've got a video of it?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't even looked into that." So I think within a week, I'd decided to put this quick faking the ISS video together to see whether or not the ballers would be able to come back and say that it was a forgery or not. It was a response to what I'd done with Red Rhetoric, which was saying, look, anybody can sort of like forge an ISS transit, right? And then they spotted it pretty quickly, pulled down, and that was it. So just letting everybody know I've got nothing to hide, and I won't shirk from the issue. I'm a man of my word, and that's what happened.
They're pulling all of these nonsenses out of the bag at the moment because they've got no answers. We're holding them to the wall with all of these different things at the moment, and they've got no answers for us.
They're going insane. They're going insane, and they are demented. So they will forget everything if it is convenient to them. So yeah, if you really, sorry, let's rephrase that. If I were you, you've done so many of these great shots. You have had so many great pictures that you presented here on this show. If I were you, I would just gather all of these pictures and make one giant slideshow of every picture, of every flat earth proof picture that you've taken. Just show the shot, put in it a little bit of text of the observer height and the distance of what you were observing. Just make a little slideshow of everything you've done. Should be a pretty big video by now.
Oh yeah,
put it all in a row. Just
last year
one flat earth proof at a time.
I've asked him for exactly the same. So what I'm hoping to do with Ranty, if he'll let me, if he's willing to let me put them up like now. So at the moment we've got my sunsets, but hopefully I can sit with Ranty and my iPad and literally screenshot each and every one of the ones that are cool and just go through them and have them as one of the rolling videos. So I've got some of them on this, but it's just nice to have a variant of backdrop images. So I'm hoping to do that with Ranty at some point when we get around to it.
Yeah, sure. So, I don't mind.
The other thing, just before we get into open discussion, I know that we rounded out that little section. I'm good with time today, so I'm not in any rush to end.
Okay, perfect.
But Chris Monk is going to do a demonstration soon. So he's agreed to do it. I just haven't tied him down to a time. I've mentioned this a couple of times. And also, I've got in touch with Taboo Conspiracy. Now, time pending, it might be that it's just not a good time for him when Chris agrees to do it. But I'm hoping, if the gods are smiling on us, we can have both of them on. So he'll go through some of the original material that he put out there in regards to this perspective problem. And obviously Ranty, who's on the panel at the moment, did this a few months ago when he showed the perspective demonstration that he showed on the previous show, i.e. 280. So check that out if you haven't seen number 280. Quantum Eraser and Ranty both do some fantastic demonstrations and debunkings and top 10 proofs, all sorts of good stuff on that show. But in any event, so So it's one of those that we're showing this perspective problem for the first time in a real visual way. Or I say we, it'll be Chris Monk, so I'm going to always do this, take his credit. But yeah, Chris Monk will show this to the audience and basically show what we're talking about when we say things like an orthographic view versus a perspective view. And he can demonstrate that very easily in Blender and show you on screen what the difference is and how much of a difference it actually makes and why we're asserting so strongly that you absolutely have to account for perspective. Moreover, Ranty's showing that it is just a co-opting of perspective. That's all curvature is. It's never going to change, and that position is going to be our position. That is fixed. So it's unfortunate for the Globers because they're never going to have an answer to it, ever. You know, this is where we win. You know, we've got them by the balls. We've got them by R. And Ranty's showing how the how of the calculation. So, you know, we can debunk it. That's no problem. We're already, as John has said many times, we're sort of 10 steps down and begging the question nonsense anyway. However, we're showing the how, or Ranty and Taboo Conspiracy and Chris visually in the next few days, hopefully, will be showing how they have done this. And essentially, it's just that they've co-opted perspective and called it curvature. And we can show you what the effects actually are when you include perspective into their fallacious, nonsensical, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting calculations. So you'll get a visual representation of that from Chris. And it'll be short. You know, it's easy to show this, mainly because Chris has done a lot of work, just to add that in. But yeah, so that'll hopefully be in the next few weeks. I will do a little advert when I know the time so that people are prepared to come and hopefully it'll get a good viewership. It should, because it's the hot topic at the moment. You know, everyone seems to be talking about this, which is wonderful. The show's getting a lot of publicity. 100 subscribers in like 4 days. Just never seen anything like it. When I did Vice, I got 50. So just ridiculous growth for me. I'm so chuffed. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Because literally in the last couple of weeks, it's been like 200 subscribers I've got, which is just phenomenal. But anyway, so welcome to Nathan Oakley 1980 channel and Flat Earth Debate, all those new subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. Please share the show. But yeah, that's about it. Perspective is curvature.
Congratulations, Nathan.
Yeah, I'd also like to say that I know I have been putting a lot of my stuff up on the Google Drive. So if anybody wants a link, they'll have to message me privately, simply because I have put a lot of stuff up there, and I've just checked now, and people that have had the link have some have been able to remove a lot of the stuff that I've actually put up there. So I'm going to have to try and get my old drive running again so that I can find up all the Blackpool observations, etc., because they were all up there. There's also the composite of the boats disappearing at the horizon. That's vanished too. So when I have actually handed out links to people, whoever you've been sharing it to, they've been able to then, because it's a public link, they're able to remove the content from my Google Drive. So unfortunately, that evidence will be no longer available to download, which is a shame.
Can I just reference something that Alkay's just put in chat? He's just said that perspective doesn't obstruct anything. Well, we see in your video, Alkay, we see that perspective is basically the shrinking of things as it goes into the distance, but because it's a flat plane, it squashes as it goes towards the horizon. And that little layer of cloudy, steamy stuff right at the very bottom, that obstruction that you guys call curve, that even though it's in the wrong place, yeah, that's all you need to make a little bit of obstruction seem like it's curvature. But when you do the curve maths on it, it's in the wrong place for it to be a ball, isn't it, Al? Why is it you haven't called out on this and corrected this? You need to say, hey, guys, this obstruction, yeah, it's obviously not curved because it shouldn't be here. It should be right at the top, shouldn't it, guys? The last tippy tops of it. But I'm dishonest and I'll call it curve because any obstruction is curvature on the ball Earth side at the moment, because it doesn't matter where it is. As long as there's a little bit of obstruction, we'll call it curve because they're getting desperate.
Yeah, they should just fall back on the wobbly Earth theory. I think that's the next logical step to retreat to.
But that's the bit that scares them.
Curvature calculation is completely broken, and no manner of band-aid is going to fix it. And they know this, and that's why they just straight out admit, yeah, we don't apply perspective.
So if anybody wants to see a baller producing really good flat Earth evidence, go to Alkay's channel. He's in chat right now. Go into his channel, look at his last couple of videos, and you'll see the Elsa Craig videos. There's no evidence in there for a ball whatsoever. No Simon Dan was debunked by some other bloke when he didn't even tell him he was debunked. Instead, he gave him a straw man argument and patted him on the back. That's how stupid these ballers are being at the minute. Any obstructions of curvature, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, they're defending a religious belief at the moment, and we're pointing that out to them. If it's based on an assumption and it has no evidence, it's a belief.
Now they're just addicted to the bulge. They see bulge in everything.
Oh, by the way, Nathan,
maybe it's sexual because they're probably not having a lot of bulge in real life, so they're just looking for that bulge. You just gotta find it.
What's with
gotta
you
find
today?
The curves. Gotta find the bulge.
Erectile dysfunction.
Talking about bulges and bisexuals. What's with you today, Arwin?
What?
He's frustrated.
Let me see your
I was
bulge.
thinking that when Tim left, because the bulge just mentioned, maybe he had to like watch some porn or something because we mentioned the
that's
bulge.
enough of that.
just to let you know, the guy that I was having a chat with last night, that teacher, I asked you what slant should I put on it? Not an optical slant, but like a slant on the arguments. And I applied what he said. I did the scientific method on him. And basically, because he's a science teacher, he was loving it. So he's going to come back to me in about a week, and then we'll do the actual hangout. So that went down really pretty well.
Well, it was John as well. John was on that call. He's still with us.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's
John's
around,
not in the call
yeah.
now, is he?
But yeah, expand on that. It'd be great for the audience to hear exactly that.
You want me to expand on it?
Yes, please.
It's a guy that was on with Dell recently. It was when, do you remember when Dell got the football and he sprinkled the water on top of it, and he said, "Can anybody tell me why it's not sticking to the ball, please? Can anybody show me how water will stick to the outside of a container?"
Hey, Stephen.
And,
hello.
Hey, Stephen.
He basically went on to challenge him, but Dell lost his temper with him. And it was on the hangout where he got porn bombed that ended up costing Dell his channel or whatever. And because he got porn bombed as a teacher and he was linked with the porn bombing one, it got him in a bit of shit. So he doesn't want to speak to Dell anymore because of whatever reasons. So he approached me and he just said, look, he said, "I've had a bit of a fallout with Dell." He said, "If you don't want to talk to me, it's fine." And I said, "Well, I didn't see it." I said, "And to be honest, I'm not that bothered." I said, I get continuously blocked in his chats anyway. Shout out to Dell's admin for continuously timing me out for no reason whatsoever. But anyway, we had a chat, and he wants me to do a hangout with him where I present my top 5 reasons for why we don't live on a sphere, but from the context of you're talking to high school kids in year 11, so don't be too aggressive or confrontational. He's already had that with Dell. He wants it to be a little bit more well put. And he said he's seen me arguing with people, and he said he'll argue with a great poise. And I was like, really? I think I lose my temper too much. But he's been watching me since as long back as the Blackpool Tower observations. So I don't know why it's taking so long to get into it, but hopefully that'll go down in the next week, and it should be ended up going on my channel and on his channel. So keep that one. Posted.
Hopefully you've got that those images, because I uploaded them to my Google Drive and they've disappeared.
The Blackpool Tower ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have them somewhere. I've had 2 or 3 drives recently because of messing around with different PCs and stuff. So
sorry, just before you go off on a tangent though, so what you applied was the scientific method and explained the methodology that we're using to debunk the sphere, correct?
Yeah, he wanted my top 5 reasons, and the first one I gave him is that there is no scientific proof that we live on a spinning ball. And then I said to him, and I didn't expand on that, but I said what I would do is I would reference the 3 main ones, which is gravity, axial rotation, and curvature. And obviously for the scientific method, as John would tell you over and over and over again, you have a cause and effect relationship. You have to manipulate the cause to create the effect, and that's how you prove causation, scientifically speaking. Now, the problem with the Earth observations is that the Earth has curve. Well, how do you manipulate the curve as the independent variable to manipulate the outcome of the effect, the dependent variable? And the answer, of course, is you can't. So that, in essence, makes it non-scientific, because you can't manipulate the cause to prove the effect. But the same can be said for axial rotation, and the same can be said for gravity. Nobody can manipulate these things, and you can't therefore prove that the cause is the thing that you want, that you need to be able to manipulate to make it scientific. So therefore, by definition, there is no scientific proof that we live on a spinning sphere. When he, to be honest, Nathan, his reaction was his mouth was open and he was listening to me saying all these key words. And to be honest, it's only become because John said it 50 million times in the last month. And it's kind of been drummed into me. And it's something that I'd long since forgotten, but didn't even think was relevant. But to this one guy, science teacher in high school, somewhere in Manchester, and all these key words that I've heard John saying over and over and over again, they just came out, like they just opened my mouth and they all flowed out without even thinking about it because I've heard John say it that many times. And
it's called conditioning.
Yeah, repetition. Yeah, repetition condition. And he was basically what he said was, when I said that spiel about what John would say, he said they are all the key words that my class will respond to. He said, I'm amazed that you even said that. So shout out and credit for John, because it's because he's been repeating it dogmatically over that period of time. And I never really considered it how strong it was in terms of the terminology and how relevant and apt it was. But obviously this teacher, when the minute I said it, I realized the strength of it, because it was his language. I was talking in his language and he was gobsmacked. So massive kudos to Quantum Eraser. I know he gets a lot of hassle, a lot of stick, but it's absolutely without merit, because this guy was just in awe. And I was like, shout out to John. While it was literally Quantum Eraser was going through my mind while I'm going through all this rhetoric with him. It was brilliant.
If we're doing shout outs, I'd also like to do a shout out to someone in chat right now.
Can you mute Anthony? You're causing all the feedback.
Who's echoing?
Anthony. He sat away from his mic and he's got his speakers up. I can tell.
Oh, I'll put them down a bit.
I'd like to give a shout out.
Okay.
Yeah, shout outs galore. You will knock yourself out. Go ahead. Lots of shout outs.
Tough to trees. Tough to trees.
Tough to trees. Shout out to Tough to Trees, also known as Tim Osman.
Trees.
I'm going to give a shout out to Pete Shea. Now, I know that a lot of guys in here are a little critical of his beliefs. However, he does have, he does do live streams. He's passionate about what he believes about the moon and the sun. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I would recommend that you go over to his channel whenever he's live and listening to him for a time.
He definitely does have interesting things to say, although seems to be a little bit far-fetched in his conclusion drawing, but it is still interesting.
I'll have one.
Well, the problem is...
That's why I put it on, Riley.
What we're doing, we're asking the questions. If nobody asks questions and we all walk in a straight line and we're all little sheep and we follow the herd, nobody wanders off in their own little direction, we'll never find out any answers. So he's doing his thing. He's looking in his own little direction. We're looking in our direction. Essentially, we're all looking for the truth. And that's what we're doing. And that's what's brought us to this point right now.
This is not about consensus. This is not about peer pressure or a body of science. This is all about individuals doing their own thing, following the same principles of truth and wanting to learn more. And that's how we get somewhere. That's how we get bigger.
Kumbaya, my lord.
Hey, Nathan. So I'm fresh back from the Salton Sea after filming with National Geographic today.
Say that again. I just caught National Geographic, Stephen. Let's turn you up a bit. Go ahead, say that again.
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone. Yeah, so I'm fresh back from the Salton Sea after filming with National Geographic today.
Oh wow, how did it go?
Yeah, that was spectacular, man.
I saw Jaron and Rob all chatting away about it, and tell us about it.
Yeah, we got there at like 4:30 or so, but it took them forever to set up and actually do anything. So it was probably about like, I don't know, maybe 6:30 by the time they actually did the first test, and by that time it was already heating up quite a bit with the sun coming out and everything. So when we first got out there, you could see like really far. You could see this mountain that was probably like 20 miles away, and then all the way later in the day, that same mountain was basically like half of its size, and you could barely see it at all.
More proof of the wobbly Earth.
Right. And so basically what they did was they had balloons like 9 miles away on the other side of this sea, and then they tried to see like how high they needed to be for them to see them. And what they came up with was that it had to be like 45 feet for them to see. And they called that the curvature.
Yeah, but isn't it true to say that the horizon had all that like dirty air on it, and they couldn't see through it, even though it was higher than the curve that they were expecting to see? They still call it curve. Is that right?
Well, it just seems like there was a fair bit of obstruction, which I would say you could get obstruction on a flat plane as well, and there's a matter of perspective as well.
Did you see the results, or were you told the results?
Well, we were just told the results, and I had somebody next to me who was on a P900 who said that they could see basically this road on the other side of this 9-mile stretch that was only about 20 feet high, but they were ignored by National Geographic, but for their balloon results, of course.
Right. Well, if he's got it, he's got the debunking in his P900 memory stick. Wonderful.
Yeah, she does. So basically, it was just a big crap show. They presupposed the curve no matter what.
Yeah, I saw the confrontation, like face to face, and they got really agitated and excited and
they did.
And rambling. It was very, very telling. It's like face to face global confrontation.
Yeah, there was a lot of bravado from the Globers right away. They wanted to be like, yes, this is the curvature. We have it, after like one test over a hot desert, which is actually an area that they use for a geothermal power plant at one point. So there's also heat coming up from the ground.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah. But afterwards, I went and I spoke to both of those people who were the independent researchers, and I brought up some things like, you can have obstruction on a flat plane and the matter of perspective, and they didn't really have anything to say to that. I also brought up the fact that you can't really just jump straight to a causal claim without having any kind of independent variable or dependent variable.
Nice.
Well done.
Was the National Geographic guys, were those the guys in the blue shirts, or was that like a different independent group?
I think the National Geographic people were just the people who were recording and doing the interviewing. Like I spoke to some people from New York and like that. But the blue shirt guys were the independent research team who has a podcast doing like atheist stuff, so they're not really too unbiased. I think one of the main guys who had that confrontation, his license plate actually said like atheist or something like that.
Yeah, that guy was freaking. I don't know. His head looked like it was gonna explode.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's cool though.
We're making headway. We're getting real traction here.
Well, what you forget as well is these guys that do this filming, these documentary makers and stuff like that, they have an agenda before they set off. The people above them will have sent them with a task to debunk. That's what they will have sent them for.
It's a religious mission.
Yeah, I mean
National Geographic, isn't their symbol the globe?
The people are drawing the religion, the world religion, into doubt. So they have to go out like missionaries and just, come on, you have to reaffirm the belief. You have to find that proof for the religion. So they're getting more aggressive.
Yeah, well, the more and more people that bring this up, it's just going to get worse for them.
Yeah, well, the general public, they are looking. And those that are actually curious and want to know the truth, they are figuring it out. So
yeah, because
it's only a matter of time.
As much as the media might make fun of it, people are going to start asking, why is this even on TV? Like, why are we talking about this? Is there something to it? And if they start looking at it, have any
it's going to be
type
apparent
of intellectual
that it is
honesty.
indoctrination. It's going to be very apparent.
It's just when enough people start asking the right questions, because it's got to reach a tipping point at some point,
We're miles away from that, though.
Yeah. That's not around the corner, but we're definitely.
I think that we already are on the tipping point, but there's still, you always have to realize that there is a large quantity of people that really don't care, and nothing will make them care, really. So they are always going to be out there. They're always going to form a large part of humanity. But yeah, still we have a large amount of people out there that are curious to stuff. They might keep most of it to themselves, but they are observing, they are learning, and we are bringing out all this data, all this proof, and all this counter proof against the globe, and they are taking note of this.
My favourite analogy so far was actually Anthony's, where he said, well, we're not running the party, but we're not knocking on the door either. We haven't even got our foot in the door. We're inside the party. We're wiping our feet. We've got our coat off.
We're crashing the party.
That's it. Pretty much.
I think for me now it's more psychological, because it's like, how much evidence can these ballers withstand before it becomes ridicule that they're going to get, which we are beginning to do. But I mean, look at it this way: are these ballers actually even able to swap sides?
No.
Or are the physical barriers that stop them? In other words, the trolling that they will get if they did.
No, but they're not going to be able to do it without a radical life transformation, because everything's going to change when they do it. When you double down on your religion that far, then the more you double down, the harder it's going to become to switch, because everything's going to just turn around 180.
Well, like you guys said, they were definitely out there for a job, and I did all of my speaking to them when the cameras were off and there weren't many people around. That's when they actually were sort of listening better and not getting so confrontational.
Yeah. So they get paid to be confrontational, especially about this subject.
The thing is, once you open somebody's interest and you say something to them that gets them to question the validity of a ball Earth versus a flat Earth, that's when people will do the research at home. So guaranteeing that probably a couple of those people that you spoke to today, Stephen, will go home tonight and start looking into the flat Earth simply by you piquing their interest in it.
Right, just simple stuff like obstruction on a flat plane, like a football field, you know?
And eventually, a 1 centimetre obstruction half a mile down the road, at some point on a flat plane, would block out Mount Everest.
Exactly.
Yep, it's just a question of perspective, and that's what they are. You say about ridicule, well, they're perspective deniers, and they are religious zealots who believe in an R value. So these people are receiving ridicule, and it will continue because their position is ridicule-worthy or ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, when he was arguing with those people, he like brought up satellites, and I just like laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, again, this goes back to the show number 280, and same with, once you debunk the medium that they say this stuff is in, they say it's in a vacuum of space. Well, we've got a pressurized system next to a vacuum, and the word itself, pressure, you don't get that without it being in a container by their own definition. And John went through about, I don't know, 6 or 7, all saying the same thing. You know, the word pressure, as its definition, has a container. So as soon as you say pressure, well, there's got to be a container by your own definitions. And a couple of them were from NASA. You know, beggars belief. So the medium's debunked. You know, you can't have space. It doesn't exist as they describe it. It very much has been misrepresented. Now, for your usual normie and cognitive dissonance, they tilt their head at a 45-degree angle, look at a star and go, space. And you go, no, lights in the sky, my friend. Just been lied to.
Has anyone found proof of the metallic rotating core of the Earth?
No, we're waiting on is it the Rumpus? No, not the Rumpus. Who are we waiting on? Come back with us for the molten core.
Paul Voigt.
Paul Voigt. It's been about 3 months now.
His name was Paul Voigt.
He's never going to come back.
Yeah.
We all chanted his name.
Paul Voigt. Oh. We need to know the last time he made an appearance and put it as a rest in peace date.
Oh, R.I.P. Mick West.
Oh, Mick West
R.I.P.
spank, didn't he?
Man, you guys ripped him a new one.
Yeah, but Mick West is just going to keep on doing what he does and just going to try to ignore
Yeah, he
everything.
is.
Shout out to
He
Nathan
doesn't
for
care.
that.
He's just doing what he does. And
Destroy Mick West.
Well, not necessarily, because the situation has changed slightly with Mick West on account of the fact that Mick West is now in a position where if someone was to come on the show with the curve calcs and go, oh, look, Ranty had the curve calcs up earlier, so that makes it fine, man. They're all good with the curve calcs. And someone presents them, and we point out that there's no angular size reduction at distance and make them look very, very foolish, they will want answers. And if they're using someone like Mick West's calculator, and there's no disclaimer to say if you use this in front of somebody like a flat earth debate, they will rip your head off in front of a live audience and make you look incredibly foolish. And for everybody who's used it to date, Gem Panda, Rumpus, Paper Explanator, anybody who's used this calculator, they've all got it wrong. There is a secondary function, perspective. It's not being applied because it doesn't compare to viewing functions. Viewing functions being viewing stuff. Well, it's not comparable. It's an orthographic representation of the world, something we cannot and do not see. We see perspective, and they do not apply it. So, all these people who've got it wrong have got someone's door to knock on. Mick West. Hello. These people are making us look stupid. They're demanding retractions. Well, Mick West can turn around and say, well, my fault. You didn't realise that there was a secondary function to apply to the target. There's not even a target in there. That's your own fault, fool. And then that person will feel foolish. Well, they should, because they've been fooled by a value, a R value. And that's all this is. Just your religious belief making you look foolish.
Well said, well said.
Did somebody shout out Mick West?
No,
Yeah.
RP, McWest.
Somebody shout out a Mick West. Shout out retracted.
Retractions abroad. I love it.
Yeah. John, you missed my shouting out of you before, by the way.
Say again, sir?
You missed my shout out of you 15 minutes ago on this chat. I
was taking care of something. What was going on?
Just talking about how your what's the word? Repetitious nature of the scientific method with regards to the independent and the dependent variable, the cause and effect relationship to this guy that I was chatting to last night. And you should have seen his eyes light up when I said those key phrases to him. It was just like, it was like science porn for him. And he was like, they're the key words that my kids will all respond to. And I was just basically I was reciting that which you've said like 50 times in the last month or two. You should have seen his response was brilliant. He loved it.
I get a tear welling up in my eye.
Yeah. You should go back and listen. It's good.
I'll go back and check it out. Yeah.
15 minutes prior to this.
Okay.
This is what Ranty did on show 177. Basically showing, let's phrase this correctly, the Y view from the X axis. So he's looking down the line in the last set of wind turbines, and they're perfectly in line with perspective, falling away into the distance as you would expect them to. And if it is alleged that they are on a curved surface, well, if they're on a curve, they're on a curve, right? Well, no. If you go on horizontally, or 90 degrees adjacent, however you phrase it, and look down the exact same line from left to right, you see that they're not built on any curve. You know, they're absolutely flat as a pancake. That's how they're built. That's how everyone surveys stuff. That's how buildings get produced. This is the world we live on, a flat plane. And it's obvious. You can see. However, we do see them falling away in the previous images. You could see them falling away, right? Behind the curve, right? No, that's just perspective. Something they have stolen and omitted to fool anybody who thinks that they're on a curve with a begging the question fallacy calculator. Earth curve calculator does beg the question. You're never going to get a flat result from an Earth curve calculator. It absolutely begs the question for any muppet out there that says, "Oh, is it begging the question? We're confirming blah blah." No. You've already got an answer in your title. Forget the calculations. Earth curve. You've already got it, right? Where's that come from? That Earth curve in the title. Oh, well, the R value, that's why we hold people like Mick West to account on that value that they assume. Hey, Milo, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey, hello?
Good to have you.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well.
So you guys are talking about perspective, right? Hello?
Yes, we are.
So I just got a question. How does perspective account for obstruction?
Any obstruction's a curve, dude.
I did a presentation, I believe, at the start of this debate that showed exactly how perspective could be, or was it the last debate? Can't remember now. But anyway, how as a minor 3 or 4 centimeters of obstruction in the foreground can account for the curvature calcs, basically.
What? 3 centimeters of what?
Right. So if you're looking across the ocean, and you know that the ocean isn't still, it has a wave to it.
Right.
So it waves, right? So it goes up and down, and at some point, if you said at the lowest point, maybe you was getting a 2 or 3 centimeter swell, right? That 2 or 3 centimeter swell will, at some point, cut off what you can visualize in the distance due to perspective.
Hey guys, I gotta head out. I'm going back to Los Angeles now. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, peace. Yeah, later. Bye.
Can you try and pepper the mute button, Milo? All we can hear is your heavy breathing.
I'm sorry. Can you hear? Is it better now? I'm sorry.
All good.
All right. So how can a 3 centimeter wave obstruct someone's view if they're standing up, let's say 5 feet?
Okay.
Perspective. I'll give you an example. Sorry, Ranty. I'll just do this on your behalf.
Put your thumb in front of your face.
Yeah, put your thumb in front of the moon and notice that your thumb, which is tiny, can obscure the moon, which is alleged to be enormous.
No. This is what I'm saying.
No. Yes. If you put your thumb up in front of your face, you can obscure the moon, can you not?
Yes, but that's
your thumb is small. The moon is apparently big, according to your nonsense, right? So you can obscure something big with something small. Do you not accept that?
That's not. Yes, you could do that, but that's not what you're claiming here. So if I can explain,
we're claiming that there is a certain level of obstruction.
But hold up, can
optics.
Yeah, sure.
And this obstruction combined with perspective, making things smaller in the distance, obscures a lot of things in the distance. It's an optical effect. It's not physical.
Come on, let him finish.
Okay, if let's say you're 5 feet above sea level.
Yep.
Nothing lower than 5 feet can obstruct your vision if you have a direct line of sight to what you're looking at.
Are we talking over water?
Yes, it's impossible.
Okay. What forms clouds?
Excuse me?
What forms clouds?
What forms clouds?
Yeah, what's the process that forms clouds?
How's that relevant? I'm talking about.
I'm just asking you a question.
But don't answer my question with a question.
Well, I'll tell you what forms clouds is evaporation. What is evaporation? Evaporation is water particles. Water particles, if you're looking over a 30-mile distance of water, which is the ocean, where all the clouds that water the entire earth and feed feed all the plants and feed you, put your water on your table, all that kind of stuff comes from evaporation, right? Evaporation happens over the oceans. What do you think? Right. What do you think is the obstruction at 30 miles looking through 30 miles of evaporation over water?
Well, it's a combination of curvature and refraction. Yeah.
It's a combination. It's a combination of water vapor.
Yeah, but hold up. Now you're moving your position from.
Oh no!
Hold up. Wait. You originally said 3 centimeters. A 3 centimeter wave can obstruct.
Yes, it can.
An object in the distance.
Yeah.
Can you show me that? Can you show me that happening?
What, a 3 centimeter? No. Can you?
You
can. Sorry to interrupt. Bear with me a second.
How are you using that as proof?
Sorry, bear with me, Milo and Ranty.
Yeah, sure. Do it.
Bear with me. Can you stop saying do it? He has done it.
No, he has to.
Can you bear with me a second? Can I just get a sentence in? Ranty, hold on. Milo, Ranty. Ranty has demonstrated this. So in his video of the one for observation, there is a period of time where when he's getting down low to the waves, he looks across and there's a little droplet or two, a splash, and it literally, a droplet of water blocks an entire building. He has got it. It has been on the show. You're not going to let me finish. I know this is irritating to you, but you talking over me irritates me. Shut your mouth and listen, dumbass globehead. Yes, something small like a splash of water can obscure a building that's very far away. It's called perspective, something you deny in favour of curve, which comes from a presupposed assumed value of R, your religious belief, and another religious belief on top of that religious belief, which is standard refraction. So your religious belief does not trump something which absolutely has been evidenced on this show. Do you understand?
Okay. How can something that's
don't answer my question with a question, as you asserted earlier, retard. Don't answer my question with a question. Do you understand what I've said to you about perspective, being able to block something in the distance with something very small? Don't talk over me. You haven't understood because you've asked me another question. It's a simple yes or no. So yes or no.
You're misunderstanding your point.
Shut your mouth.
No.
Listen to the question again and answer it. Do you understand that something small near to you can block something big far away?
Yes, if it's in your line of sight, yes. If it's in your line of sight.
Well, you asserted you couldn't and it was curvature. So shut your dumb mouth.
Hold up. No. If you're 5 foot, hold up. Could I make the point? If you're 5 foot.
So would you concur that after a certain distance that the ocean will actually
gentleman doesn't
obscure your line of sight?
Well, hold up, Arwen.
Because of perspective?
Arwen.
Gentleman doesn't understand the real world and how things work. He doesn't understand the evaporation which forms the clouds. Right? He doesn't understand that evaporation, water particles that are evaporated from the sea and pushed up into form the clouds, that over a 30-mile distance, you're looking through all that water vapor, eventually it will cause some distortion at what you're looking at. But not only is it the 3 centimeter swell, but you also get the evaporation effects. It's all evidenced in video after video. Everywhere you look, just go down to the beach, you will see
distortion all over the place. This is what causes the apparent slant. It slants the ocean upwards.
But Arwen, once you start talking about apparent slant, you're talking about something else that
no one else is talking
about.
No one's talking about. Let's put this to bed right now.
But no one else is making that point.
Let's put it to bed. Can you see what's on my screen for the audience right now?
Yeah, but I'm still making a point. You guys don't let me talk.
Yeah, well, I'm explaining how things can go smaller into the distance and be obstructed.
Yes, but you're not thinking about things in parallel lines, which is what exists on a flat Earth. If you're looking straight and you're 5 feet
lines, we're dealing with observations. That's perspective, not parallel lines.
Visual demonstration to give you, Milo, if you'd like to listen.
A line of sight, you're looking parallel to the floor. You're looking parallel to the floor. If you're looking straight out into the water, 90 degrees straight, you're looking parallel to the water. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever over a flat
hold on,
bridge?
let me get his question in.
Causing that miraging
effect? Just let him make his question.
We've established that you're looking parallel to the water. So if you're looking parallel to the water, and we know that parallel lines don't touch, then how can something under your line of sight obstruct your...
Right, can I explain? Let me give an answer without interruption.
At some point, you just said they don't touch.
They can't touch.
They converge. They do. Perspective.
Ranty, model it out. Please, Ranty, model it out. Model that, please.
I'm just about to show you, Ranty. Can I just please let me explain? Yes, they do converge. However, right, Milo, shut your mouth. On screen, we have an obvious effect of something miraging down below itself. Now, this effect is not reality. This is going to obscure anything that is reduced in angular size below this line. So as things get smaller, I know you want to deny this. I know it's part of every fibre of your being, but when it gets further away, it will get smaller and smaller, like this one versus this one. And
when it gets... Keep that image up, please.
Shut your mouth! Shut up, globehead idiot! You're getting an explanation for how perspective can block stuff. Shut up and listen. So, at the horizon, there is an inferior mirage, which will obscure anything behind it. And when something reduces in angular size far enough to reach this point, it will be obscured. However, if it has something that is periodically higher than that point, it will appear like this turbine blade, which also is subject below the point which it is reduced in angular size, below this obstruction of refraction. It will continue to be seen above that height. So this turbine is of such an angular size that it is far enough in the distance to be beyond what you can see. It's too small. Then we have a line that will obstruct it if it was further in the distance, i.e. even smaller still, reduction in angular size, which is what we capture. And we have an inferior mirage which does obscure at the apparent horizon line. Do you understand my explanation, Milu?
Your explanation doesn't explain the image that we're seeing. Sorry.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
No, angular size.
Yeah, also, by the way, Nathan, you
obstruction.
forgot to mention that part of the ocean is also actually appearing slightly higher than it is.
You've
Right.
As
also
part
got
of
the
this
compression.
miraging effect.
You also have the compression as well as
And the
going on
waves.
at distance.
Milu, how dare you mute Arwin? Get out of my
He muted
hangout.
me. He muted
Just
me.
because you're
Yeah,
losing,
because you were
little
talking
prick,
over Nathan.
Don't mute anybody. Little prick. This is what globeheads do when they lose. They mute people who've got a good point. Hey P, is that really you? Good to have you.
Probably not, because he was the one
No,
that...
it's P.
He was
See
the
his
one
camera.
that...
Last time he was on,
Yeah,
he was
kick
kicking
him.
people.
Oh no, it's a
I'm kicking
recording
him
of
right
P.
now.
Kick him.
Kick him out. As he took half the panel with him, we shall see.
Yeah.
Possibly.
It's just a recording of his face.
Yeah, clever.
It's not responding,
Very
so it's
smart
probably
trolls.
a troll.
But yeah, Milu, you're an idiot who just goes around muting people, talking over, like all globeheads who've got a religious belief in an R value and would rather deny what we're literally showing them there and then. This is real world photography. Things do get smaller as they get further away. That's an absolute fact. They will be cut off at the bottom because of their reduction in angular size. It's a fact. They will be obscured above the hard horizon because of the mirage that we see and is evident in every single image we seem to take where we can see far enough. Or it's not obscured by waves. If we had a more rough sea, it would obscure this circle of confusion. It would just block it out and you wouldn't see it. Therefore, according to globeheads, because this thing's just going into the sea, oh, well, that's curvature. Forget the fact that it gets smaller in the distance. Oh, we don't need to account for that. That's just not necessary. Why? Well, because it's not in the maths. We see things in an orthographic way, of course. No, we don't. We do see perspective. It's apparent everywhere, for everyone, all the time. Hey, Jose, how you doing?
Yo, I'm Rio. Yeah, I'm Rio. Just as a placeholder.
Yeah, but I do agree that to Globers it must be very, very confusing that the ocean does actually it is part of the mirage. It is actually miraging upwards into the zone of confusion, as well as the stuff above there being miraged down. So yeah, it's very confusing.
Give a shout out to Jose on the panel. What's up, bro?
All good, all good. Just got off work, so my audio is not too good. I'll keep it mute.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!